Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Techegy podcast. This is Techegy Interviews. This is our third one, actually, of the interview series. And our guest today is the publisher of the Old School Gamer magazine, which has been running for almost 5 years, correct? And he's also been a publisher for 25 years and a gamer for 4 years. Please welcome Ryan Berger. So
here I am.
Yeah, you're here. You made it.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah.
I'm partying from Grimes, Iowa, just outside Des Moines. How about the rest of the gang? I'm not as familiar with you guys. I mean, everybody knows you, but I don't know you. So
True. I'm actually in the Cleveland, Ohio area. I'm about 15 minutes from downtown. I'll let the guys tell you where they're from.
I'm from where I live in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And I'm also from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
The Berg.
very cool.
I'm originally from Pittsburgh, so I know John and Mike Sashini MC there, but Mike Marcoux MM there. We've all never met him yet in person. We actually met through a different forum and ended up here. So
Well, JC, I'll actually be out in your neck of the woods coming up.
for
What is
the
it, 2 weeks from now?
Cleveland Gaming Classic. Nice.
Yes, I will be there. Are you going to make it out? Can I meet you in person?
Yeah.
Yep, we'll stop and see you.
We'll
We're all
see
going to
you.
be there.
We'll all be there. Except for
Except for
maybe
Mike.
MM. We're trying to convince them.
And then let's see, about a month and a half later, I'm in Columbus for another one called Torg.
Toward
Yeah.
With that one.
Yep. We
I
went to
love
that.
Ohio. I'm originally a Cincinnati boy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Pete Rose was cheated out of the Hall of Fame. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm a Reds fan, so
Yeah, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree totally.
Well, I mean,
I wish wouldn't bet on it.
I have a T-shirt that says I'm like Pete Rhodes. I got 200 on the Reds.
Well, here's my take on it. They're not going to put him in until after he dies.
Yeah.
And it'll be
They
posted.
don't want him. They don't want to give him the satisfaction of.
I met him a
Going in
couple
while
years
he's
ago.
still-
I met him a couple years ago in Las Vegas at one of his autograph signs. Got my picture taken with him. He is blind as a bat now. I saw his phone. The font was like cranked up to like this big on this. Oh, but neat guy. Okay, off baseball, off Cincinnati, off Ohio. Where are we going with this, guys?
Yeah. So thanks for coming on. I know we're excited to have you on and talk to you. So just go ahead and tell us about the magazine, what it's about, any info you got on it, just kind of the gist of what you're doing with it.
Well, going on about 5 years ago, I was at another one of these expos, one down Austin, Texas, called Classic Game Fest. And at that point, I was kind of thinking about this thing because I had done a magazine for the previous 15 years called Mobile Beat. It's a disc jockey trade magazine. And that was my full-time thing. I was looking at moving into a part-time self-employment vibe and become a teacher, which I am now. I've been teaching 3 years, high school computers. I met some people down there, realized there had been a bunch of non-successful gaming magazines. And so I decided I'd go at it myself. I had some expertise and I met some of the right people, met some authors, met some great people down there and started rolling. We put out our first issue. Let's see, it would be November of 5 years ago.
Great.
So it's been a fun time since then. We've roller coastered up and down with things. The short version, what Old School Gamer covers, is everything video games up until high def. Once you get into high definition HDMI, we don't cover it yet. So we're just now covering the Xbox. I think the PS2 is coming up soon. But I kind of have a personal vibe for like Atari through NES kind of a vibe. So we're talking retro vintage.
Yeah, we like you already because that's kind of the stuff that we all collect.
I see you wearing an Xbox shirt though. You're at least partially a modern guy.
I am. There's a reason for that. We can talk about that outside of the podcast. But yeah, I mean that's actually how we met was ColecoVision. Some of us, that's our favorite. I mean, I think we all played Atari, back in the day. But yeah, I mean Nintendo, by that time I was in college, so it wasn't as important as the ones were when you were in high school.
Yeah, but my first console was in television.
Okay.
So I just turned 50 years old a couple weeks ago. So I mean that's my first, and my first computer was a TI 99 4A.
Yeah, one of them.
Second much.
Yeah, I was Apple II Plus. Mike, you were Coco, weren't you?
Yeah, but I started out with Pong.
We
I
had
don't remember what machine it was, but it was Pong.
we had the Odyssey ripoff one. We had the Odyssey one.
I had one of those. I had one of those Odysseys also. The one where you put it on the TV, put the
Yeah.
unit on there, and then I remember looking at the games when I went back and looked at it a little bit. Did you realize like half the games were just total chance? I mean, there was one where you would spin the dials, and then you'd have to talk about whatever state it ended up on. That was the game.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just remember my dad saying, "Get that stuff off. The Packers are going to be on here shortly."
Yeah. So, we're trying to do some more stuff on retro computers. We're doing more stuff on arcade machines, pinball, everything that kind of sets that 70s, 80s, 90s vibe on. Retro to me is like when I was in high school. That's what you kind of, high school and college is what you kind of view as your retro scene. You know, all the stuff that mom threw away when you moved out of the house that you're now going back and buying again.
Yep. Exactly.
Luckily, my mom was a hoarder, so she didn't throw any of my stuff out. But everybody here's got me beat because my first system was the Super Nintendo.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
that's
the
16-bit stuff.
I'm the baby here in the group, and then I got a Nintendo from my cousin, the original, the NES.
But you're working your way back, John.
I'm working my way pretty far back with some of the stuff.
He's going to get himself a brown box soon, right?
Yeah. Other than that, so yeah, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but if so, let's say we have a new individual picking up the magazine for the first time, has never read it before. What's one thing about the magazine that you would tell somebody, you know, to get them to flip a page open and start reading? What's that one, that eye grab that you would
An
have?
eye grab.
Yeah.
How do I best describe it? The first 30 issues have almost all been a theme issue, where about half of the issue is on one theme, whether it was shmups, whether it was fighting games. We did one on calling. I'm looking at posters up on my wall. RPGs, sports games. It'll have a good taste of all kinds of different stuff, and it'll help you remember these games. And then you're also going to find out about all the new stuff coming out. The stuff that's been hitting technology-wise that gives a good throwback to what the past was all about. For a while, we had some exciting coverage on that in television, Amico, that who knows what's going to end up happening with. The arcade 1-up stuff. iArcade, if you've ever seen one of those units, are absolutely fantastic unit to have in your stuff.
Yep.
The way that they're repackaging and re-releasing games and anything else that pays homage back to the days of simple games, like how Atari had it. Let's see, easy to learn, difficult to master is a good way of describing what games are like, as you guys know from back in those days.
Yep.
So Ryan, how many people work with you on the magazine? Is it just you?
I do the final layout work on it. I send it off. I do the main promotion. I do a little bit of advertising sales. I do all kinds of stuff. This is part-time, as I mentioned earlier, because of my teacher job. There's probably about 15 or 20 other people that in some form write for us in an average month. We've got all kinds of writers. Some of the people from back in the day, like we had Howard Scott Warshaw from E.T. fame and Yard's Revenge write a series for us. We had, so let's see if I can remember some of the other guy that made Q*bert, the people that made Mortal Kombat stuff. We've had all kinds of people write for us, along with our editor, Bill Donahue, is actually known as the Jaded Gamer back in the 1990s from the PlayStation magazine and that kind of stuff. So we also find people that are aficionados of writing stuff in the video game arena. Brett Weiss writes for us. A bunch of these kinds of people that all do a ton of research and try to put you back in the mood of playing old school games.
Sounds good.
It's a heck of a lineup with some of those people, especially you know, the ET creator. I'm actually about halfway through with his book. He's quite the character.
That book I enjoyed a lot because it got enough into the geekiness to kind of tease you a little bit. It talked about some of the shenanigans going on,
Yeah.
and then also talked realistic with people. So he did a very good mix of it. We republished one chapter of it in our book, in one of our magazines, and had a blast. He's a neat guy to meet. I met him up at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Really nice guy.
Ryan, how long does it take you to produce, like from beginning to end to create an issue? Does it take a month or longer, or?
We probably spend a hardcore month on it and then kind of slide for a couple weeks, and we start on to the next issue. I mean, my involvement in actual production of an issue, I've probably got 10 or 15 hours in it. But I've got Bill, the main editor's probably got 40 or 50 hours wrapped up into it of just layout, gathering the material, working with the authors. I mean, we just put out an issue that covered Mortal Kombat in depth, and we wanted to make it so it covered a little bit of the arcade stuff, a little bit of the home console stuff, a little bit of the movies and the other vibe of things. So you got to cover the whole spread of it, and just organizing that, editing it, making it look right, and then getting the magazine out the door. I'll travel probably 15, 20 times this year, going to the different cons, bring along some of the authors with me. This upcoming weekend, I'll be going off to Chicago for a vintage computer festival. Then I've got the Cleveland event coming up. I've got that one in Columbus, probably a couple more before the year get out. Oh, I'm going to Portland, I think. I am enjoying it. The cool thing about it, though, is that when we travel for these events, I always bring family members. When we did the Kansas City Planet Comic Con event, I had 2/3 of my family there with us. I've got 5 kids and a wife, and we'll travel and have fun at these. And it's kind of the family business, and it also pays for us to be geeks.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I first saw your magazine at Replay FX in Pittsburgh a number of years ago.
Yep.
That's right.
A neat event. I wish they had stayed around with it, but it didn't last past COVID, from what I understand.
Yeah, they got rid of everything. I was really bummed because I was big on going down there every year. I'd spend the whole Saturday down there.
Yeah, I was there for one full day of it. They have a real strong emphasis on pinball, but they had a lot of retro gaming stuff too. I mean, the stuff they had there was fantastic.
Oh, they had a lot of arcade machines, that's for sure.
One game I always look for when I go to these is Zookeeper. I was playing Zookeeper there, and that was a fun game. A fun game that I'd love to have in my personal collection. My personal collection is about 5 or 6 arcade machines and about 25 consoles, and probably about 150 cartridges for games.
Yeah, I think the one I saw your magazine at, well, maybe it wasn't that one. The first one I went to was a Donkey Kong tournament with Weeby and Mitchell were down there that I met.
Okay, cool.
That was the first one I went to.
Those guys are a trip. Weeby doesn't come out for a lot of events, but Mitchell, as you know, is everywhere. So
Weeby's the nicest guy I think I ever met. He sat there and talked to me for a long time. He was nice.
I met him at an event out in the LA area, and just laid back. He enjoys his little bit of spotlight.
Yeah.
And then his alter ego, Mr. Mitchell. He's a friend of mine, but he's a character.
Yeah, he's a character. He sure is. So I think the last question I have is, do you shoot for a number of pages? Do you have like a minimum number of pages in an issue?
We're normally like 52 to 56 pages, depending on if you count the cover and stuff with it. What we're doing is we're doing a Kickstarter, and I guess I'll screen share that in a second to you guys, that we're trying to get up to 72 pages. Actually, let me go ahead and screen share real quickly. I'm going to get a page loaded. Let's see. There's the latest page. Or no, that's one issue back. Hold on. Let's see. Let's go share screen. See how high tech I can be. Google Chrome.
You're using an Atom computer, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'll load my tape up. Okay, you're now seeing the Mortal Kombat issue, I assume, on your screen.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. This is an average issue of ours, 56 pages, including the covers. And there's a promotion for one of the expos coming up that we're coming your way for. Let's see if it's gonna cooperate and load. Table of contents. Come on, baby. Of course, we're streaming, and you're recording, and everything's bouncing off of it, and it's going nice and slow. There we go. So this issue, we covered, a bunch of different things. I mean, we covered the cons that we go to. We covered David Craddock, which is actually a good guy, might be able to get you hooked up with if you want to do some Mortal Kombat coverage. Great author, put out a book on Mortal Kombat. Talked about how hooking up iArcade parts to your iArcade unit or other computer stuff. This was a great issue. We had people begging us to do Mortal Kombat because I'm assuming you guys know 30 years of Mortal Kombat this year. So we covered all the stuff with the green blood or sweat, as I think they called it in the Nintendo versions versus the Sega versions of them. So what we're trying to do is trying to get from this size format up to okay, you're now seeing my Kickstarter on your screen.
Yep.
Okay, we're trying to get up to a what's called a perfect bind, which if you've seen magazines before, there's two things. There's a stapled or saddleback, or saddle stitch, I think it's called, and perfect bind, which means we're going to go up to 72 pages on the magazine and add a lot more content. I also want to hire on a couple more people part-time to blog on our website and build more content. So we're running this Kickstarter to get people going a little bit more. The magazine basically costs $20 a year for the digital version of things, or $50 a year for print. We come out every other month, so you're paying about $8 to $10 for an issue of the magazine. Then we're doing some other bigger deals if people want to get their collection featured in the magazine or their favorite arcade. We're doing all kinds of neat stuff. We have our publishers board. I've got 5 people that jumped on our board with us as advisories to help us guide the magazine a little bit more. So that's our latest excitement, short of traveling everywhere.
Nice.
How many subscribers do you have, Ryan?
We have about 600 paid subscribers to the full version of the magazine. What we do is we give away the first half of every issue. If you go to oldschoolgamer.com, you can sign up, enter your email address, and get access to the free version. And for instance, my paid subscribers just got access to issue number 30, which comes right after the Mortal Kombat issue I showed you, that just went online tonight. And they have access to all, I think this one's 56 pages again. But that, as of the November issue, the goal is to go up to 72, as long as we hit our Kickstarter, which we're about 3/4 of the way through right now, but could use a little extra push. That's why I was excited when you guys contacted me this weekend. I was out I think I was on the way to camping with my wife, and I get a message from you guys like, okay, cool. I like PR. That's awesome, guys. I appreciate you finding me.
Appreciate you being on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Questions?
So, obviously there's a lot of energy and excitement, that you're putting into this magazine, but what content do you specifically get excited about the most?
Recently for me, it's been reliving the gaming, computer gaming stuff. I'm going to a vintage computer festival, and I've been going back to my Apple II days. My Apple II days is when I really remember. I remember Apple II. I ran a bulletin board on it for a while on a 2GS, chatting there, exchanging files. I mean, later days I ran a PC bulletin board and had some, let's say, distributable files that were loaded off of a Colorado Memory Systems 250 tape drive. I'd get a new tape like every month. I've had all kinds of fun. I mean, it's just reliving that kind of stuff, and then also showing it to my kids. And I can count my kids as the 5 that I was involved in bringing into the world, but also with my job up at Perry High School, being a computers teacher, I'm showing these kids. I'm a computers teacher that teaches video game programming and computers, stuff like that. So I'm bringing in people that have programmed games and having them talk to them. I have posted up on my wall for Pac-Man. I'm introducing these kids how they work, the simple logic of a Pong game going back and forth. I have these kids programming it in a real basic little language and showing them all these games, kind of, the stuff they get excited about. They spend 30 hours playing. It all started with simple 5-minute games,
right?
And especially in the arcade, the goal was for the arcades to eat 25 cents of your money every 2 minutes. So it's fun passing it on. And honestly, I've been losing a little bit of money at the business. That's why I wanted to kickstart this stuff up a little bit. But I've been enjoying it. It's my hobby that allows me to write off buying video games as a tax write-off.
I'll tell you.
I was just getting
John.
ready to ask you if you've been generating any income yet from the digital and the print magazine. And,
It's all gone back right into it. with stuff. I mean, it's paying for hotel rooms for us to have fun and stuff like that too. So it's not a big deal for me. I don't do anything for the money. I mean, I want to pay my bills. I want to do more with this. And right now with my schedule, that if we do hit those points, it just means I'm going to buy myself an arcade machine for the house, or something like that. Might be my next kick up. Fund me going to a expo in the UK or in Japan or something like that. It's fun stuff. I'm assuming you guys aren't doing this for the big bucks coming in off of the webcasts and stuff like that. You're doing this because you enjoy discussing
Yep.
the past.
Yep.
Yeah, we're negative money.
Yeah, this is a money pit.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you're enjoying what you do. It's your hobby. That's what hobbies are made for and stuff.
Yeah.
I really enjoy what I'm doing. And I think I'm doing some good. I'm getting to meet my heroes of the industry. I mean, Eugene Jarvis made Robotron. I got to meet him. I got to meet Nolan Bushnell from Atari. I just in person meeting or even virtually talking with him. I mean, hearing Bushnell tell me stories about when he started Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh yeah,
It's just cool.
the way it's going, he's not part of it anymore. But he can tell you how it's ending. Unfortunately,
He still got a couple shares in on Atari. He's still an advisor for Atari, but not Chuck E. Cheese anymore.
Not Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I was laughing when you were talking about the Apple. My first machine was the Apple II Plus. And JC, you never had the experience bulletin boards, did you?
Not really. There's still some around that you can get to by some more modern means.
Yeah, you telnet into them.
Yeah,
compared to
But
I remember people running a Sinclair bulletin board up until the late 90s.
Wow.
It could only have like 10 users in the system total.
I just remember, get off the phone, I need to make a phone call. Your parents yelling at you. I remember that. Back in the days when it was one phone line in the house and you were trying to download something and your sister picked up the phone and screwed it up. I remember those days. So I have to ask probably the question, what's your favorite game of all time? If you only had to have one machine, one game in your house, what would that be?
Well, of the arcade machines, okay. In my collection, my favorite game is Atari Star Wars, the Vector one from mid 1980s. Okay.
Okay.
Of games to actively play on a regular basis, Galaga.
Okay. Two very popular games.
Yeah, I like Galaga too. So I think what is it? Tempest was one of my favorites. I actually have a machine that's broken, but
the toughest part about Tempest games is those screens. If the monitor's still working, you're in good. Those vector monitors are tough to fix. Don't stick your finger in there for nothing, because you're gonna fry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have a Donkey Kong that we've had to replace caps on, and one of my friends didn't discharge it right, and that was I wish I would have had video.
I still remember. Okay. This is again going way back before JC on stuff. on building computers, okay. I was putting the cards in. We're talking late 80s. Putting the cards in the computer. I pulled the power off of it just to be safe, and I had to put another card in, or I had to flip some memory into it. But you know that when if you leave the phone line plugged into it, it generates electricity. That's how a phone line works. And it'll still shock the crap out of you if your hand's inside of it and the phone rings. There's so I don't know the best describe. The other thing we're looking for, and the reason why I'm going to a couple of these expos, I'm just trying to get more writers, people that want to document this kind of stuff and get it out there. So if any of you guys have writing skills, anybody watching this, pop me an email, rb@oldschoolgamer.com. We're actually looking for people that can research or talk about their memories. It's great stuff.
Well, you've got a couple of them already on your board there with Brett Weiss and Michael Thomason.
Yep. I remember when I first met Thomason, I met him at the Classic Gaming Expo in Las Vegas. It was right after he sold his record-breaking collection.
Oh, did he sell it?
Oh, he sold that probably 10, 12 years ago.
Oh, did he really? Okay.
He had some kind of health issues in the family, and he sold it. So.
Wow. Because I saw a blurb about him where he had like one of the largest collections in the U.S., I think, or something.
Yeah, as of about maybe 2008, 2010, something like that. The last one of those expos on stuff. So
Wow.
it's good stuff. I mean, this is fun. I'm enjoying it, and because I'm not worried about paying a ton of other employees, stuff like that, it's not stressful. Like my last self-employed publishing job, I had more responsibility. This was the primary income for people. This is something I can not worry about the finances on as much, and just enjoy what I'm doing.
So you have worked on magazines and stuff in the past.
Yeah, I published a disc jockey trade magazine as a full-time job from. I created the first website for DJs back in 1995.
Wow.
Okay, chat boards, that kind of stuff, and the world changed as to things. You know, when Facebook and all those things came around, stuff like that. Magazines aren't what they used to be. Ran a trade show related to it, so I've done a lot of things, and I generally enjoy what I do.
Yeah, Ryan, I do have a question. And we were kind of talking about this the other day about something else, but why does it seem like Europe's got so many magazines coming out of there, but like no one can make money in the U.S.? I don't understand that. Like, because I got Readly, you can read all the magazines, but most of them are European. It seems like, you know.
Yeah, well, I guess let's start out. I'm a big fan of Retro Gamer, the UK magazine. I've been getting that since it came out 15 years ago, and I'd love to be going as far as long as they have. I think it's just a cultural thing. They're just like how they take trains everywhere. It's just something that's more ingrained out there. I mean, there's a ton of magazines on video gaming out there. There's specialty ones just about Amstrads and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's-
why they've taken here. Here, it's a tough system, for a small publisher to really do anything.
yeah.
That's why I was really curious as to why you were going with a print version when there's a lot of expense involved with that. Whereas if you were just publish a digital copy, there would be quite a bit less expense
Well,
involved.
my goal is to offer from both, and to differentiate ourselves. We saw out there's tons of blogs, there's tons of podcasts, there's tons of YouTube channels, all in this arena. And then, there's people like yourself that are on the edge of like what we do. That's not specialized as what we do with our gaming stuff and everything. And we want to be different. So I'm going this direction. If for some reason this Kickstarter doesn't take, we are going to go the direction of an on-demand printing process where you'll be able to order it from Amazon and they'll print one out, charge you 10 or 12 bucks for it, and you'll get it that way. So you can still get the print product. Will
Okay.
always be a print styled, I guess, magazine is a way of saying it. That's
Got
the
it.
way we do things. But I don't know. I can't, I don't know the future. We'll see.
So if the Kickstarter doesn't pan out, then you definitely will go print on demand then, right?
We will be going print on demand using the Amazon process. We'll be doing it print on demand no matter what anyway.
Okay.
So people in Europe can get our magazine. Because right now it costs me, I think, 12 bucks to ship a magazine to the UK. And if I pop that sucker on Amazon, they can print it out. It prints in Poland and it ships across the channel and gets to them. So we will be offering the magazine internationally as of that November issue also. It's just whether it's going to be the only process is going to be done through that.
Right. So it's good to know.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were teaching computer and programming to students. Have you made your own game? Like I mean, probably have played around and made a game, but have you actually made a game and released one?
No, I haven't gone that far with stuff. I mean, I made a game back in my TI days, a bunch of if-then statements and basic and stuff like that. I've learned the basics of Unity because I teach it. I'm kind of learning as with the kids on how to get through stuff with it, but I've never gone that far with stuff. I mean, I just kind of enjoy the culture and playing other people's games. I've helped out with a couple, but I've never gone as far as doing that. There's plenty of other people that do a great job with it.
Yeah, there is, and it seems like that group is growing every day. I find out about new releases for all kinds of consoles. I know even stuff like the Amstrad, some of the systems that aren't as popular here in North America. I always interested in seeing some of those games.
I got involved in a couple of the Facebook groups. I saw people making new stuff for the Mattel Aquarius.
Yeah.
I literally just got a Mattel Aquarius from one of the people you're probably talking about, as well as his game was included with it.
Yeah, there's a ton of people making Atari 2600 and NES games. There's a system called NES Maker that is kind of a Unity for NES. There's Atari Basic, but Atari I think it's called. But if you check out Atari Age, they literally for the Portland show have like 20 or 30 new releases
Oh
for
yeah.
the 2600. The thing that
And
they do with them,
they're a lot better too.
yeah. Well, the thing that they do with them also, they put an extra coprocessor in them that's 100 times more powerful
Oh yeah.
than what the 2600 had in it. So they can make these games that are so much better.
The Coleco guys don't do that with the like the collector vision out of Canada. I've noticed that their stuff still is running on, totally on the hardware for the most part.
Yeah, I was down at Collector Vision. One of Collector Vision's partners, John Lester. I was at his expo at Game on Phoenix, and there's a ton of community behind the Coleco. I visited one of my my subscribers here in town. Who goes about 2 miles away from me. As a total Coleco Atom guy. He's got like half a dozen of them, and they're all working. So I mean, the retro community is alive. There's no doubt about it. The thing I worry about is when we get to the 2020s and people are thinking retro, everything's going to be a digital download and all those servers will be shut down. So how are we going to relive those unless because the physical media is not there.
Right.
That's true. That's true. You're finding some of that now, as even, Microsoft's getting ready to kill Xbox 360 games from Game Pass. So you're even starting to see it with some of those, and that probably arguably is their best system of the four they've come out with.
Well, there's a lot of problems with licensing too. They have to take music out of games and everything else. It's
Look at Crazy Taxi. The later versions had a lot of stuff taken out of them.
Yeah.
You guys heard about the arcade 1-up NFL Blitz?
No, I haven't. Are they coming out with Blitz?
They've re-released it as an arcade one of those big stand-ups.
They have, okay.
The NFL would not let them have late hits in the game anymore, which is what the whole game is all
That's
about.
what the whole game's all about.
They removed late hits. So why buy it? It's just Madden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that literally was the game. I remember when EA, after Midway went under, EA got the license, and I want to say late hits were out of it on that version too, because it was nowhere near as fun as those Dreamcast.
They basically took the original one and took all the late hits out of it and all the rude or stuff. It's like because they don't want the concussion, being look like they endorse that. It's like, okay, whatever.
It's like taking fighting out of hockey.
Can't you just put a disclaimer on the front screen?
Yeah. The NFL does not endorse this.
That's right. That works.
One of the early hockey games, one of the early EA hockey games, they did take fighting out. I forget what year it was, and it only lasted a year. But they took fighting out because we don't want it part of the game. It is part of the game. Right. It was the reason why we got all those ones for the for the NES or for the Genesis at the time. But yeah, I haven't seen that. Now you just made it where I won't buy it, because that would actually be one I would love to have a NFL Blitz game.
Yeah, it was a stink all over the end gadgets and those kind of things.
And very interesting. Very interesting. So what's the hardest part about pulling together a magazine? I mean, obviously you've got the publishing, you've talked a little bit about that, getting writers. What's the hardest thing?
The finances.
Finances.
I mean, plain and simple, that there's a ton of good stuff out there. And then promoting the stuff out there. I mean, that's why I'm doing stuff like this. I mean, it's really getting people out there. I so firmly believe in what I've got, like what you guys believe in what you're putting together. You think you should have thousands of people downloading and all kinds of stuff. You feel so passionate about something and you don't understand why everybody hasn't jumped on it.
Right.
We've got some good people behind this stuff. And it's going to survive in some form. 5 years so far, we're nearing the longest of any of the retro gaming magazines that have come out. There's one called Video Game Trader, made a little bit longer than we did on stuff, but it's fun. I'm not going away.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
So we did
Very good to hear.
I did ask you what your favorite game was, and while I'm thinking about it, you'd mentioned that I believe you said the Intellivision was your first console. But what is your favorite console? Like, if you had to get rid of everything else and only keep one, what would it be?
Probably the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
I have one.
I
That came out while I was in college, and that was really the college thing versus the kiddie machine. Just like what Sega said with things. I like the console. There were some good games that didn't come out for it. Yeah, and of computers, I probably remember my Apple II the best because I spent the most time with it. Yeah. That was fun. I remember playing Bard's Tale, Load Runner, Karateka.
oh, all those. Yeah. Boy,
I was upstairs on my Pi 400 emulation machine playing Oregon Trail. My whole family got killed off.
yeah. I remember when that actually had the Minnesota Educational Computer Consortium was the.
Yeah, my wife did literally get dysentery.
They
haven't
make
told
a
her that she's
handheld
got home.
for it now. They actually, one of my friends at the office actually, she showed me had
Yeah,
they have a
there's a
little
little handheld.
handheld version of it, and it's like wow. So what were your favorite games on the Genesis? Out of curiosity, you
I can't remember.
probably
It was kinda-
Sonic.
Yeah, well, I mean, just playing Sonic and stuff. I like some of the Dungeons and Dragons kind of stuff. Rolling Thunder, I remember playing.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was just more of a general that it really had to speed up on the competition.
Yeah, I like Kid Chameleon.
Yeah,
Kid Chameleon. Yeah.
I remember the name. I don't remember the game.
I bought it for 2 games. The day I bought it, it came with Sonic, so that was one, and the other was the first NHL hockey, the very first one by EA, and it's the only one that has the Minnesota North Stars in it because they moved shortly after that.
Yeah,
So
Kid Chameleon was kind of like almost like Mario, but when you hit the blocks, different things would come out, and if you picked them up, you changed. You change into a knight. You change, and then you have a sword, and then you change into different.
Yeah, that coming a bit. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. So
Jam and Earl was entertaining when you were drinking, but
oh yeah, no, I like Toe Jam and Earl too. That was a good game.
There was a new one not too long ago that came out on the Switch. Actually, I think it came out on all the
came out on all the primary consoles.
Yeah, it was okay.
I remember playing Mortal Kombat on it.
It had blood. It was the only one that had blood.
Streets of Rage was a big one for me.
Do you remember when Nintendo said we will never have Night Trap on a Nintendo system ever? It's out on the Switch now.
Yeah,
I always laugh at that. We'll never have this out for our system.
I bought
was that a bad game?
Came out, then they banned it.
What a bad game.
Remember Clay Fighter?
It was bad.
Clay Fighter, yes.
Yeah, you just kind of early.
Yeah. What was Golden Axe? That was always one of my
Golden Axe was good.
I had that arcade machine in my house for a while.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I have an R-Type in my garage.
Oh, cool.
Big R-Type fan.
Yeah. Well, we used to have 5, and then my wife wanted her dining room back, so I kept Donkey Kong and R-Type.
Let's go. What did you get rid of?
Ms. Pac-Man, a sit-down Japanese Space Invaders, and a Pleiades cabinet, but it had a Contra board in it.
Okay.
So that was kind of my choice, and I was like, Donkey Kong's staying, but the logic was that the monitor on the Donkey Kong, the Sanyo, is identical to the R-Type one, because R-Type was also Nintendo. So if something happened to the Donkey Kong monitor, I could go grab it from the R-Type.
Pop it over.
That was the logic.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, it's behind me here in my office.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of cocktail cabinets. That's kind of my favorite. I've got Donkey Kong. I've got Defender.
Love the cocktail cabinet.
And the cocktail format. I just perfectly remember going to Pizza Hut while waiting for the pizza. Dad gave me
Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There's not a lot of Pizza Huts you can actually eat in.
Yeah. No, how many people got their first experience on video games in a Pizza Hut? I mean, honestly, They went back in the day. So that's what I need. That's what I need for the dining room. Is I needed a Pizza Hut light.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would go over real well.
Stained
The
glass.
light.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, buddy.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool, no doubt.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I remember there still being a couple arcade machines and Pizza Huts into the 90s. But I remember my experience was it was always at like skating rinks, like ice
Yep.
skating
Skating
or
rinks, mhm.
rollerblading.
Yeah.
They always had, and I just remember there was it Bart versus the World, the Simpsons arcade
Mhm.
cabinet. That I remember that was like the bane of my existence when I was like
4-player Simpsons game is a very popular, the full 4-player
Yeah.
one, the original
It was
Simpsons.
it was
Very
great.
popular arcade machine.
It was fun, but I remember like my friends and I don't know how old we are, 6, 7, it just my poor parents probably didn't have any money because every time we went over there, we're just quarter after quarter going in that thing.
That one and the Ninja Turtle one with 4 players, where they were just very good games.
My favorite of the big multiplayer games. You remember ever seeing the 6-player X-Men game with 2 monitors?
Yes, I did.
That was like, yeah, that's what I want. I want one of those.
Where did I see that? I forget where I saw it, but yes, I have seen one. That was awesome. See, the newer games, Hydro Thunder is by far my favorite, and playing that on the Dreamcast. That was the reason I had to have a Dreamcast. This was Hydro Thunder. Just a fun game.
Understand you there, definitely.
So you got 8 days left on your Kickstarter.
Probably 6.5 or 7 left by the time most people see this video.
Absolutely.
And about a little over $10,000 to go. We're behind. We're kind of behind the 8 ball, but I think we should still be able to make it. I just gotta find some more nice people like you to talk to a little bit, and you guys spread the word, bring some more people in. I'm assuming you'll link up the Kickstarter URL in here. Otherwise, you can go to oldschoolgamer.com and link from there. If you want to check out the magazine, as I said earlier, you get to see the first half of it for free, and see what you think of it. You can order back issues, you can order keychains, all kinds of swag kind of stuff.
Awesome. Definitely everybody check it out. I mean, today was actually, and I hate to say it, but it was the first time I have actually been in it, and it was like, this is cool. This is very cool. So
well, the option that we put out there for people is the digital subscription. We have a lifetime digital subscription version for I think $95, the regular subscription for $50, and then we have some other advisory boards and stuff like that if you want to throw a little bit more money at us, we'll get you a little bit more voice in the putting together the magazine, which I've wanted anyway. If people are going to give me money to tell me their opinions, I'll take it.
So what was that email address? I'm sure a lot of people would give opinions.
That's fine.
Be careful what you ask for. No.
Yeah, rb@oldschoolgamer.com.
There you go.
RB is my initials.
Good.
So my geekism happens after this. Literally, this is what I got in my schedule. My 20-year-old daughter and I are going to watch some OG Star Trek, as in TOS original series. Kirk and the.
Oh, you and I get along great. I've got a bunch of 3D printed props here from the original series. I'm an old school Star Trek fan.
Well,
And
yeah.
if you ever get bored, go to look for StarTrekContinues.com.
I know, I'm familiar with Continuous.
Okay, if you ever get to a show in Jacksonville, Florida, the sets are open. You can actually go to the sets. I know that they have the ones in Ticonderoga, probably a little closer, but the ones that Vic built, they're down. And I've been to both sets of sets. It's when you walk through those doors, your childhood just.
Well, okay. I assume we don't have to talk just video games on this show because we're talking all kinds of old stuff. I was 15 years ago in Long Beach, California, when they started taking around the original series set or a variant of it to a bunch of these different locations. And literally there, Shatner walks in, everybody follows him, follows him. I stepped to the back of the room, kind of hanging out with this guy that turned out to be 4 days younger than me, little Wesley Crusher and his wife, just hang out in the back room, sitting and talking with him for 5-10 minutes, because everybody was directed at Shatner. So yeah, Shatner, you're cool, but so what? I mean, I'm sitting here with the man, Wesley Crusher. Now I'm drawing a blank on his real name.
I see his I see him posting on social media.
Will Wheaton.
Will
Yeah.
Wheaton there. Will
Yeah.
Will Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Yeah,
So-
I mean,
So the guy that did his costumes is the guy that owns the sets up in Ticonderoga, the official
Okay.
licensed sets. He was his costume double. So he was of that, because like I said, there's two basically factions of the Star Trek sets. But
yeah.
I'm glad you're familiar with Vic stuff, because that stuff right there looks so much like the original. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
so we're gonna watch that. We've already watched Next Gen. We watched Enterprise as in the Bacula series. We've watched Voyager. We're on original series. Then we're going back and catching up on DS9 later.
Got to do the animated series too.
Yeah, I got that on Laserdisc. I literally have it on Laserdisc.
That's awesome.
It's-
That's
I don't think I'll play it off that. I think it'd be a lot easier just to pull a Paramount Plus. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You got to do the animated. That's where Tiberius comes from.
the one where, that's oh yeah, the animated series was funny.
Yeah, it was. With the writing was good, but the series looked. Listening to DC Fontana talk about it is hilarious, because she basically ran it.
Yeah, it was
But-
it was cool. But yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, it might turn your daughter off from watching it.
Well, she didn't really enjoy. I've been watching the other series, is like Lower Decks, I think it's called, or something
That's
like that.
terrible.
She didn't really enjoy that, but I'm gonna watch it just to watch it. Picard was fantastic.
Have you watched the Orville?
Orville's probably the best of the new Star Trek series.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
Yeah.
New Star Trek.
Just like Galaxy Quest was one of the best Star Trek movies.
Yeah, I mean, McFarlane, about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, asked to take the reins from Paramount of Star Trek, and they told him no.
Yeah. My daughter enjoyed seeing Seth MacFarlane as a Star Trek guy in Enterprise. He appears twice in the series. It's like, that's the guy from Orville. It's like, yeah, he kind of got to start here. No,
Yeah. Show her. There's a video McFarlane did when he was a child.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
No.
That's hilarious. If you guys haven't seen it, his bridge is cardboard, and his friend's got ears taped on. He's Spock. It's just the love of Trek. You can just see it in the man.
Yeah. A
So.
neat guy.
Very cool. Hey, well, we'll make sure that all the links and everything are going to be down in the video description. They'll be on the website, our website, techegy.me. We'll have them on our Facebook and in our podcast description, and everything. So Ryan, final last
Thank you.
here. Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Hope this kicks off and you get the Kickstarter and everything. Definitely exciting. And like we said, like for me, I like I just recently had found out about this. So really cool. Appreciate your time. Any final words for anyone listening?
Old school gamer wants to live long and prosper.
Nice.
That's so we have a saying too here. So let's see if we can do this. As we always say here at Techegy Podcast, stay nerdy, my friends.
My friends.
You guys are trying really hard, aren't you?
We mess it up every time. It don't matter.
Stay nerdy, everyone.